Tonight is the review of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. So, for those of you who don't know, Percy Jackson is about a 12-year-old boy who doesn't exactly lead a normal life. Not being able to read due to dyslexia, and not being able to sit still due to his ADHD, it makes his time in school really rough. And his home life is not much better, his mom, Sally, having married a terrible man named Gabe, who does nothing except lounge around and play poker all day. But things only get worse when Percy is attacked by his math teacher, Mrs. Dodds, who is actually a monster in disguise. After her mysterious disappearance, his best friend Grover comes running to his door at his mom's cabin in the middle of the night, saying that they are in danger. They have to drive up to Camp Half-Blood, where they say that Percy will be safe. But before they get there, a Minotaur attacks, and it seems as though Percy's mother dies at the hands of the monster. And Percy, in his fury, runs to kill the monster, and after doing so, passes out unconscious. He wakes up 2 days later, and he is in Camp Half-Blood, and as it turns out that his other teacher, Mr. Bruner, is actually Chiron, the teacher of all the demigods. While trying to lead on a normal life and cope with the death of his mother, Percy tries to find some normality in the day-to-day routine of the camp. But then suddenly everything is flipped upside down when a hellhound attacks and Percy is claimed by his father Poseidon. And thus, they must embark on an epic journey, accompanied by his best friends, Grover, his protector and a satyr, and Annabeth, daughter of Athena. They must go to restore the balance and return Zeus's master lightning bolt before the summer solstice. Together, they must face furies, monsters, traps, and the ego-ridden Ares as they travel across the country to get to the underworld, to face Hades and get back the Master Bolt, and Percy's mother, from the god. But as the kids soon find out, Hades doesn't have them, and in fact is missing his own artifact. And then when they return topside, it turns out that Ares actually had the magic items, and they were stolen for him by another thief, not Percy. In the final battle, Percy must face against Ares, and when he humiliates the god, he retrieves the magic items. He quickly returns them before his deadline, and peace is restored. War is avoided. In the final pages, you find out that Luke, another friend at Camp Half-Blood, was actually the thief and the traitor, and he attacks Percy with a scorpion and flees before he is caught by anyone else at camp. While recovering, Percy talks to Annabeth and Grover, and as they plan out their next year and what they are going to do. Grover goes off to embark on his dream job, and Annabeth goes home to try again with her dad and his family, and Percy returns home with his mother, who are now free of Gabe. That is the little synopsis of the book over. Now it's time for the good. So the story flow was very clean. One thing happened right after the other. The story was consistent and it was very nice. There was a good sense of intensity where, for me anyway, it left me on the edge of my seat, and that's probably why I read it in 3 days. And the emotion and the humor, there was so much of it going on and compelled to all audiences that made it great for basically anyone to read. And with the good comes the bad. Now, there was only 2 nitpicks that I really had about the book. Number 1 was ages. I understand that the author was trying to give himself a lot of wiggle room to continue the series on into the future, but 12? A 6th grader was tasked with going across the country with little to no money, fighting tons of monsters, getting hurt, and thinking that his mother was dead the entire time. A lot of the stuff that they were doing was grown-up stuff, not 12. It was a little unrealistic. The second thing was convenience. There was a couple of parts of the book that you were like, nah, that was handy. Like, for instance, Percy is up in the Monument Tower, and the water just so happens to be below him, so that he can fall to safety and heal his poisoned leg. Or how the 3 pearls, how they escape the underworld, is basically handed to them on a silver platter. That is the one thing about the movie that I liked a little bit better, was that in the movie they had to go looking for the pearls, and that's why they had to face all of these monsters. In this case, it was literally just handed to them by the river spirits. Now, despite my nitpickiness, I understand where the author was trying to go for. The fact that Percy is 12, but he sticks to it the entire way, and that's what conveys a hero. So I can see in that aspect how that was succeeding for a book, especially for someone of Percy's character who was only 12 years old. And not to mention that Percy constantly has to overcome things like his ADHD. Now, I, for one, live with someone with ADHD, and I see how that affects real world instances, day-to-day activities, and how it can be challenging to overcome, but if you stick to it, that's what makes you better. So, little stuff like that, I can see where the author is coming from, so don't take my judgments too harshly. So, for the rating, despite my nitpicks and all of my pros and cons, I would say that overall it was a very exciting read, and I want to give it a 4 out of 5 stars. So, should you read this book? Yes. Yes, you should. The thing about the Percy Jackson movie is that it's totally far off from the original story. If you want something that's exciting, lovable, and just an overall a good read, if you've seen the movie, you don't know Percy Jackson unless you have the physical copy in your hands. So yes, go read it. It's fantastic. So that about does it. I will be revealing the next book next week that all you guys have chosen, and I will be doing the same format as I did tonight. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all later!